question 1 asks us which angle is formed by the ray EA and EG. Okay, so E is here, and A is here, and then EG is here. And then the other thing it says is select all that apply. So that typically means there's more than one correct answer. So this angle here, obviously, is angle 2. Can't be angle 3 if it's angle 2. And I could also, so G, E, A. I could call it AEG, because remember the vertex has to be in the center. Or I also have B that's there. So I could also call this GEB, which happens to be C. And then AEG also works. So there's actually 3 different names for that particular angle there that's highlighted. All right, next. Here in the figure, ED and EA are opposite rays, and we're told that EB bisects ACE. Okay, so now remember, bisect means to cut in half. Okay, so that means this angle and this angle are congruent. Okay, so AEB is congruent to BEC or CEB. Okay. Here it says if the measure of CED is 72 degrees. Okay, so CED is 72 degrees. And the measure of AEB, so that's AEB, is 7x minus 2. Then what is the measure of BEC? Okay, now, remember, both AEB and BEC, they're congruent. So this is also going to be 7x minus 2. And all 3 angles from A to D form a line. So we can say that angle AEB plus angle BEC plus angle CED all equal 180 degrees. Okay, now, because this is asked for the measure of BEC, and it didn't ask for the value of x, and we know that all 3 angles form a line, and that 2 of the 3 angles are congruent, we actually don't have to do any algebra here. I will go through the algebra for you, but remember, if everything's 180 degrees, and when I say everything, I mean every line, If I do 180 minus 72, okay, I get 108. So what that means is that the two remaining angles add up to a total of 108 degrees, because this angle, I have the 72 degree angle here. Now, if they are both congruent and clearly the same measure, I want to split that 180 degrees evenly between the two angles. So to do that, I can just divide 108 by 2 to get 54. Now, if you hadn't thought of that, we can do the algebra. Oops. Okay. So the algebra would tell me that seven x minus 2 plus 7x minus 2 plus 72 equaled 180. So here I can combine like terms. Oh, plus 72, so I can combine those as well. 72 minus 4 would give me a positive 68. Subtract 68 from both sides, and I get 14x is equal to 112. And my last step, dividing 112 by 14, I get x is equal to 8. So to find the measure of angle BEC, I need to plug in to 7x minus 2 make x, because we know x is 8, and 7 times 8 is 70, oh, not 76, sorry, 56, my bad, minus 2, which is what gives me 54. So regardless whether you just did it totally numerically, if you noticed and realized that with the two angles being congruent, you could just subtract 72 from 180 and divide by 2 to get the measurement. Or you can go through the steps of the algebra. Obviously, either way, you get the same answer. Okay. Here, number 3. In the diagram, AB and EC are perpendicular, okay? Anytime you see perpendicular, that means perpendicular lines form a right angle. So that means this is 90 degrees, and because there's 180 degrees in a line, when I subtract 90, I do get 90. So both sides, both angles, when CE and AB come together, form two 90-degree angles. All right, so we are told that HEB, so the small angle here, is 9x, and CEH is 19x plus 6. And we want to know the value of x. All right, well, the two angles together are complementary. They form 90-degree angle. So I'm going to do 9x plus 19x plus 6, because together the two angles add to 90 degrees. So add my two x's. So 19 plus 9, I believe, gives me 28x plus 6 equals 90. Then I can subtract 6 from both sides, and I'll get 28x equals 84. And my last step, obviously, is to divide by 28. I'm using my calculator. I get x equals 3. Now it also asks for the measure of HEB. Well, HEB was just 9x. And with x equal to 3, 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, number 4. We are told that two angles are complementary. Okay, complementary means they add to 90. So we have two angles that form a 90-degree angle. And the larger angle is 6 less than 3 times the smaller angle. And we want to know the measure of the smaller angle and the measure of the larger angle. Well, since we don't know the measure of either angle, I'm going to label the smaller angle with just x, because we have no idea what that is. But in comparison to the larger angle, it's 6 less than 3 times. So 6 degrees less, when I translate that mathematically, it means I'm subtracting 6 than 3 times. Well, that's literally 3 times x. So these two angles, when I add them together, will give me 90. So that's going to be 3x minus 6 plus x equals 90. Well, I have an x and a 3x, so that's going to give me 4x. To isolate x, I need to add 6 to both sides, so that way these cancel out, giving me 4x equals 96. And then divide by 4, which I need my calculator for, is 24. So x equals 24. So because that x was the value of my smaller angle, that's the measure of the smaller angle. And to find the larger angle, I can substitute in 24 for x, multiply times 3, and subtract 6. Or the simpler way, because I know both angles add to 90, would just be to do 90 minus 24. And I would get 6 minus 60, 66. Yeah. Question 5 asks us which statement cannot be assumed by the diagram. Okay, so anytime we have a question like this, we want to go through each choice and eliminate anything that is incorrect. So let me start with A. We have GBE. So GBE. So that's this angle here. And DBC. DBC. That's this angle here, are supplementary. Now Now remember, supplementary means 180 degrees. And the only thing visually that lets us know that we know automatically is 180 is a line. Now, unfortunately, ABC forms a line, but when I put GBD and DBC together, I don't get the full line. I only get a partial. So I don't get the full 180 degrees, so that is incorrect. Let me erase this so it doesn't confuse us. Okay, option B. BDC, so BDC, okay. Is vertical to FDE, yes. Okay, so those are vertical. Okay, so that's correct. Change the color here. Okay. EDF, which we just looked at, and EDC. EDC. Yes, those are supplementary. That forms the line. So this is correct. And CBD, so this angle here, and DBG, so DBG, this angle here, are adjacent. That is true. They share both the vertex and the side, so that is correct. So, and remember, my question said, which statement cannot be assumed? So because they're looking for the one wrong answer, the answer is A. Okay. Number 6. If EFG, so EFG is 35 degrees, and GFH is 63 degrees, what is the measure of EFH? Okay, so we're looking for the total, the larger angle. So the two smaller angles, just like line segments, the two smaller angles will give us the measure of the larger angle. So all I have to do here is add 35 plus 63. So 5 and 3 is 8. 3 and 6 is 9. So together, when I add them, the larger angle is equal to 98 degrees.